So back in mid-September of 2021, I tweeted, as per Economics 101, inflation is setting in due to massive borrowing on the part of the state. So lesson 2 out of that. Do you know what the central bank will eventually do in response? And if you answered hike interest rates, you are correct, and you've won a path to a prolonged recession. So, I predicted an inflationary trend in the central bank's response to it. Am I a gifted fortune teller, a modern-day Nostradamus? No, I'm afraid not. I just have a basic economics understanding, even if our prime minister doesn't. The third part of my prediction will be coming soon, as the blunt instrument of hiking interest rates sends the economy into a recession. And it's not just economic principles guiding me in my predictions. It's remembering what happened the last time the government borrowed itself to the brink of insolvency and dealt with the issue with interest hikes. Historic events, unfortunately, tend to be a circular thing. We forget and we repeat things, particularly with economic trends. Inflation was high and high energy prices were rampant in the 1980s when Trudeau Sr. was Canada's prime minister. And rather than cut spending, Trudeau hammered the economy with high interest rates and attacked the energy sector. The result was an economic collapse in Alberta as Albertans literally walked away from their homes because they couldn't make mortgage payments with such high interest rates while the economy was in the toilet. It was devastating. Today we are in the exact same economic conditions, and we have another bloody Trudeau in power. This one's dumber than his father, though, by a number of magnitudes, and it doesn't look good. In the 1990s, we had to correct the course of high-spending governments on all levels. Alberta's government was little better than the federal one, actually. Premier Lougheed, Premier Getty, they used deficit financing and put the province deeply in the hole. In Ottawa, Chrétien had to cut spending and get the budget back in balance. Him and Martin were actually some of the most conservative governments we ever had. In Alberta, Ralph Klein, of course, was the one to do it. The public sector unions held massive public temper tantrums and threatened strikes. They're predictable. In the end, though, the cuts had to happen. The cupboard was bare. Now we're going to be cutting government spending on all levels again. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The laws of economics, they're as immutable as those of gravity. The government can deny it all they like, but they're going to have to face the reality of ending borrowing and starting to cut eventually. We can't pretend we didn't see it coming. It feels like I'm shouting into the wind, but we should try and warn people and at least counsel some others to prepare. We need to start asking ourselves, what government services can we do without? And there's a lot of them. What's really essential? And what can we cut or eliminate? The Department of Heritage, they could use some massive cuts. Or here's an easy one. We don't need the CBC. That's $1.4 billion a year. Liquidate all those buildings on top of that and the vans and the equipment, and we can throw that towards the debt. We can cut foreign aid. Most of it's virtue signaling anyways, and it just goes to dictators to buy arms. Public art? No, it's not the government's role to buy us art. There's a lot of things. The Governor General's office, how about that? There's room there. They're all going to howl, but too damn bad. I mean, what's more important to you, maintaining then the universal health care or paying the Governor General to keep globetrotting while pissing away $87,000 for in-flight meals for her friends? This all adds up. The cuts will come easier if we prepare for them now, because if we wait until there's no choice, it's going to come a lot harder. And if you're a civil servant, I know a lot of them probably don't listen to this show, but you should think to yourself, is your job vital or could you be easily cut? And if it's the latter, and I know that's the case with many, you may want to prepare for a career change. The cuts won't be as bad as some think anyways. In the 1990s, when Klein was cutting the civil service deeply, most citizens, including myself, I remember, we didn't see a decline in government services. There was a lot of deadwood that needed to be flushed out of the halls of the government bureaucracy, and we were fine without them. It's likely a futile warning, but I have to try. Austerity is coming. Don't give me the opportunity to say I told you so again when things hit the fan. As much as I do, I admit I like saying it, I'll be perfectly happy if I don't.